Thank you all for coming this evening. First item on the agenda, please join me in a moment of silence for Linda Hafner, a graduate of the district, Doris Williams, a retiree of the district, Diane Norton, a retiree of the district, Margaret Campbell, a graduate of the district, Shirley Solenthaler, a graduate of the district, Megan Sundberg, a graduate of the district, and Don Yukonis, a retired employee of the district. Thank you. We have two building planning team presentations this evening. Alan Rowe drew the short straw, so you're up first. Come on ahead.
I thought it came sideways. I couldn't read it. I can't read it. Kind of margin.
All right, thank you for waiting. Before we begin, I just wanted to start out by thanking Mr. Stone for ordering me 10 minutes from Smith. Talk for 20 minutes. Thank you. Great opportunity to come and share with you what's going on. Hard to pack it into 10 minutes because there's a lot going on. Really excited about everything that's happening. As quickly as we can, but as thoroughly as we can. Real sense of all the work that's happening at the building. To begin with, we can finish off the last year. We spent time just like that. Really proud about this is we took a lot of time to really synthesize. PTO. Capture and integrate a lot of different opinions. Stopped last year with that, and then by the time we opened up this school year, we had our. Now the BPT did a great job. What catches my attention the most about our vision statement is this idea of want to be is act and then model. Staff and administration, staff between students, all those different types of relations. Which led us to coming up with our brand. So we decided to have a little contest at the beginning of this year. We opened up at the beginning of the school year to say anybody, any staff, teams, individuals. Try to get that accomplished so that we could have. Fortunately, this is a year we were relegated. But our winner was our technology assistant, Kelly Burke. Our brand has become that we are Allie. Allie being a mascot, that we are always leading, learning, and pop up now in different places. Their Marshall kind of resonates. You received a little pouch of these items, which you're probably going, I have really no idea why I have a baggie with these 4 items in it. Day one, when the staff returned, we started off with everyone receiving this bag. Symbolic representation of the 4 goals. This is the first year I've been at Allen Road that we actually had our goals drafted out before the first child walked in the doors. Our building plan did a great job, focus for these goals, and we present them in the first day. So each of these items is intended to really anchor staff across the year to what the goals are, to keep it on the front burner. We tend to start off with a bang, we launch, and then sustaining across the year. So hoping that these items they're sitting on the teacher's desk or sitting in my office, remind everybody of what the 4 goals are across the year. One goal is the same across all grade levels in the building, our work around the essential standards. Second goal around social emotional learning has a core that's the same with each grade level. We offer the grade level health assessment, see where they're at, test for them and where their team, actionable steps to move. The building has 4 goals, and there's some that are very specific to where. So just like the Carnation Breakfast Essentials are that energy to get you going and keep you going right from the start, so is our work in the district around building goal is connected to the work that we're all doing in the district, but we wanted to make that focus and kind of really anchor, not to, as a task to check off the list, but something that was meaningful. Focus here is with teams hacking and making those decisions. To improve and impact their kids. All grade levels went through this process summer around start activity to really sort the dialogue was very different from grade level to grade level, and it was processing. Almost done at every grade level. Almost there already with all 5. Sorting that.
Up further and kind of thought about, well, we're having this great dialogue. How can we kind of move forward with this? So we said, try and create standards-based common assessments related to it.
Administrators, we watched a short video this summer that talked about elephants and the connection to social emotional learning. You may not know this, or you may have heard this story before, but baby elephants in the wild are grow, explore, take chances, and work as they're surrounded by the adult elephants of their herd that form a ring around them. Protect them and enable them to be vulnerable. Parallel there is to social emotional learning because it's the environment that we create. To solve problems on our work around social emotional learning. Kind of there to remind us that it is our role to protect them, to serve classroom environments, create at the door when they wheel that has the 5 components of social emotional learning. Those are focused across the building, but what we decided to do is have each grade level take kind of drill down a little bit more in depth, and then create some.
Ask that emotion at the able to recognize their emotions, regulate their feelings, as well as learning to recognize
our focus is on thinking and making every day. So what we did is at the beginning of the year in the fall, we gave kind of like a pre-assessment. We gave some scenarios to the students, asked them how they would respond. And then throughout the year, through various scenario discussions with our students, how their decision-making from the beginning of the year will change after all this work throughout the year. At the end of the year, when we give them kind of, and through that work, we're hoping to see a lot of growth and maturity and better decision-making.
Find all 5 spokes of that wheel. How do you accomplish vision? How do you have good vision unless you have superhero glass? Those connected to Vision 2020, and it's the self. And then
on response to intervention. And one of the things that we reflected on our practices, our techniques, and so forth, and what we wanted to do is create Docs and Google Drive. So we have that set to go, and every week we like document our individual instructional that target specific areas such as phonics, word recognition, and fluency, and as they relate to reading. On RTI, several assessments throughout. Ended up grouping up.
Fourth item in there.
I have a bigger one in the basement.
Have team spirit. Have team spirit if you're going to create more effective teams. That's right. Get this thing roots and teeth. So listen to all. Called the group scale. At the end of last year, each grade level team took an area from that, and you can see a copy of that reproducible in your. Our team is a mention this, and you're going to hear a lot of this from a lot of the different buildings, because it kind of reflects in all of our grade level. So that's, again, a brief snapshot, kind of like our wall picture to give you some snap. So whether it's right at the beginning of the year, started with our goose chase. Left-hand corner, which was our retired. Ended up being the winning team. Or whether it's coming back from that goose chase and team on the first day with staff, posting all of our grade level goals and getting a start right back in. Or if it's in the classrooms where you see a great deal of work, units of study, grade level reading units of study, and math workshop. The workshop model in those three areas has become very strong. Whether it's even with our PTO, taking the time to second celebration, we changed our Winter Wonderland. Last year, it's become more of a our country's holiday tradition. Culture of the building. Talked to Mr. Silky for the principalship many years ago. You know, in my mind, going on there. So to close, also Allie. We want to make sure any questions for us?
Can you, is this working? Am I close enough? A couple questions, just there's reference to PLC, obviously, and then somebody said weekly meeting. Those two different things, it just what's a typical day? All this work you did, where is it happening? When do the PLCs meet? Are they meeting daily, weekly? Are those two different things I heard?
All 5 grade levels have meet in the morning from 8:30 to 9:30.
Where does special areas fit into PLC? They go to any of them, or?
You can actually answer that.
Oh.
So I teach music.
We actually asked the special area folks to
I'd add one more, but if anybody else wants to. Promise, one more. There's one more in here.
Next time.
Well, and this is something I saw in the Smith Road grade 3 mentioned the standards-based common assessments worked on. I noticed that was in Smith Road, and it looked like they did that 16, 17. And they did it district-wide. So I guess my question is that it was a third grade initiative. Are the other grade levels looking at that also? And that's not something, at least it looked like in the other PLC presentation, that's just building-based. Is it district-based? So that we have grade 3 here and in Smith Road and in Bear or whatever.
I would say, and I'll
Is that where we're going? It looks like that's where we're going.
those are different places. Some, that's the only one we highlighted with that, but others have
Okay.
already started work on that. All 5 grade levels are moving.
Say that there's a connection now that with last year, our report cards went standard assessments. So that's where our conversation has been, our shift. That's why our drive is there. Is
They didn't talk about what every grade level was doing. This is
Right. No, thank you for that clarification.
Nice job, thank you, and thank you for the t-shirt.
Hey, good evening, everyone. What's coming around, I'm passing out the presentation. I sent it as a link, and I thought you had access to it so you could get the most updated one. And so I didn't realize you got a hard copy. So I'm sending the newest updated hard copy that'll go along with our presentation. So again, my name is Greg Stone. I'm the principal at Smith Road. We're excited to present our Smith Road Elementary 2018-19 BPT goals. To my left is Jessica McCurdy. Jess is a third grade teacher at Smith Road. And to my right is Nicole Kulikowski. Nicole is an AIS teacher at Smith Road as well. Both are co-chairs of our BPT and will be participating in the presentation that we built together. So we like to get started every year just to give you a quick snapshot of what Smith Road is and who we are. We have a student body this year of 539 students as of today, which is down about 5% from last year, and we're kind of on a slow trend of going down a little bit each year. Similar staffing to last year with 81 staff. We have 25 classroom sections. 8 of those are CTD classrooms, and that's where the special ed teacher is a part of that classroom, supporting IEP goals within the classroom of the 25. We also have one BOCE special education program housed in our school, and that's the BOCE SCAPE program, which is integrated in our K-2 grades. We also have 2 special education classrooms. Those are North Syracuse special ed classrooms. They're 15-to-1 rooms. We have a K-2 program and a 2-4 program, and those students are completely a part of our school, but also have a home base also in a classroom with a special ed teacher. And those are for students of multiple different needs, and so we meet them throughout a push and pull out model. And as you will see in a trend at Smith Road, we're seeing a regular trend of 2 to 3, this year 4% increase in free and reduced rate of school lunches. And that indicates the socio-economical change of the Smith Road area. We've been seeing that progressively go higher, and part of our presentation will be addressing that and what we're doing to meet the needs of all learners. So you're going to hear a lot of presentations over the next several months around mission and vision, and Smith Road is a little different from what happened in many of the other schools. We actually did a lot of our work around mission and vision about 4 years ago. So the mission that you're seeing here, these are our beliefs and values at Smith Road, which we've presented on in the past. We focus, it's our belief and our core mission to provide curriculum that challenges every single student to reach their maximum potential, tied directly to our district mission. It's our mission to ensure that we have a respectful environment that is safe and nurturing for our students. It's also our mission to encourage our staff and our students to be lifelong learners. That's that growth model mindset. We insist on collaboration among all of our stakeholders at Smith Road, and it's our belief to teach and practice our star character traits of responsibility, honesty, caring, and respect. Those are our core values at Smith Road. Ultimately, it means supporting the needs of every child.
Our 2017-2018 celebration. All our character ed committee. Last 9 years, Smith Road has $1,000. Last year, our music teacher, Mtss, organized a school-wide food drive to support a local food bank. 1,200 items and for 2018 and 2019. We are going to hold a donation drive to supply the SPCA with food, supplies, toys, and monetary donations for animals in need. And these annual community are centered on our core character. We explicitly teach and practice caring by helping others.
At Smith Road, we continue to build our building goals around Vision 2020. For our 2018-2019 goals, we're going to be revising our vision, our work in standard-based learning, combining social-emotional learning with RTI in order to move to a multi-tiered system of also be focusing on integrating learning targets and setting individualized goals.
Our vision has been our driving force for our long-range planning at Smith. We are coming up on our 5th year of implementing. This year, on opening day of school, all the staff are giving a survey to assess how we did on our 4 vision goals. This survey has given us feedback on what vision goals we met and where we need to continue to focus. The survey will assist us this year as we collaborate with parents, teachers, and students to set our new vision for the next 5 years.
So our second goal is a multi-year goal that you've seen us present on in the past. And so 2016-17 and 17-18, we presented those 2 last year. But it all ties together when we're talking about long-range goals around standards-based learning. So I'm going to take you through that right now just so you can see how it all interconnects and led to where we're going in the future. So in 2016-17, we had a couple grade levels at Smith Road as well as another building that really started to recognize the importance of creating a guaranteed and viable curriculum for our students. Meaning that if you're a 2nd grade teacher and the teacher across the hall is teaching at a different time on a different standard than you, how can you come together and start having those conversations of how are students performing if we're comparing apples to oranges all the time. So we had some great work happening in pockets and grade levels around mapping out our curriculum and then pacing it out so that everyone's on the same page. We were able last year to lead to 2017-18 to do some district-wide curriculum mapping and pacing, and that was led by Lindsay Maloney, where the whole district came together, kindergarten through fourth grade. Actually, kindergarten was already set, so first through fourth grade. And we really clarified and mapped out our ELA curriculum from start to finish so that all schools are on the same page at a similar time, and that's a work in progress for the district. The mapping piece comes in with putting all of the resources in a singular document. So if you're a brand new teacher and you walk into the first day of school in first grade, you can click right on the map and you already have all of your resources right there. You know what standard you're teaching. We're building in the assessments there, and we're building in the resources so that you have those things right at your fingertips, as opposed to walking into a room and trying to plan out a whole year around standards instruction. So that's a major piece for the district. Jumping back for our school, back in 16-17, we took what was then the Common Core standards, and we went through them, we unpacked them again, and what we really did was we were trying to identify what are the absolutely essential standards in ELA that are essential for students, meaning what standards in ELA do students absolutely must have mastered in order to move on to the next grade level, to move on to high school, to move on to college and career, and ultimately in life. So we went through those and determined what was the absolutely critical ones. We teach all of them, but what are we going to focus on? And that provided our building a pretty clear focus on what are our priority standards or essential standards. Last year, 2017-2018, as most of you know, the state adopted the New York State Next Generation ELA standards. Very similar to the Common Core standards. A lot of language was changed, though. Some of the standards were moved around to a degree. So we took the initiative to dive into those last year, and we again unpacked all of those ELA standards, that takes several long months of teachers having deep conversations around what standards actually mean. What does proficient look like on the standard at third grade? What is mastery going to look like? Those conversations have to happen in order for teachers to really understand what it is they're teaching and how they're going to teach it and assess it. So last year we took the Next Generation standards, and we were able to define what are the absolutely critical essential standards for students at Smith Road. What are we going to focus on as a building in ELA? Which led to this year, this summer and this year, where we're now designing essential standard units of instruction at all grade levels. So what we're doing now is we're designing units around these essential standards so teachers in the same grade level are teaching it all at the same time, and we're building in those common assessments. And there's three major components to those assessments that we've been working on. First thing we need is a pre-assessment. So before a teacher actually starts teaching that unit, they need to know where their kids are before they start teaching it. If you've got some students that are already at mastery level on a standard, you need to know that so you can differentiate for those learners. If you have students that are still at a foundational element and they're not even ready for the standard, you need to know that before you start teaching it so you can differentiate in your core instruction when you start teaching it. So we've got a pre-assessment. The unit then starts. Around midpoint in the unit, we do a mid-assessment. And that's kind of our touch point. And that's where the magic of PLCs comes in. So our teams come back together. They pull up their data from their pre and their midpoint assessment. They sit down as a team in a grade level and say, how are our kids doing? If one teacher's data is totally rocking it, looking great, you would want to know as a team, hey, how did you teach that? What did you use? Can I come learn from you? That's where the learning community piece comes in. Then you go back and you continue instructing to finish that unit, and at the end there's a summative assessment. The summative then takes all three. We look at all three, the summative, the pre, and the mid, and we say, okay, here's how our students performed. Now what are we going to do? Because we need to move on in our instruction to our next unit, but we have a bunch of students here that need basic skills that haven't still mastered this standard that we said was essential. So that's where win blocks are going to come in, and we're going to give an intervention block for the students that need the most support. Then you have your average students who are performing proficiently on the standard. We're going to give them an intervention block to provide more addition, more deeper understanding on the standard. And our highest students are going to get an enrichment block on that standard, or we might move on to a different standard for them. So that all students are getting what they need, but it's based on data-driven instruction and around a PLC model where we learn from each other and look at that data. So that's the piece that we've really been working on, is getting that team teaching assessing cycle up and running this school year. And I won't lie, it's a ton of work. We are by no means masters of it by any stretch of the matter, but we're learning and growing together, and we are building those units as we go. So it's a work in progress this year and probably next year as well. But it should be really cleaning up a lot of that work. Our third goal, as we mentioned, is moving to multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS. So if you haven't heard that acronym yet, you're going to be hearing that a lot in the education field. MTSS kind of beefs up what we used to, or what is response to intervention, or RTI. And what I mean by that is, for so long, all schools focused intensively on the academic needs of students, and that's through RTI, so response to intervention, a tiered level of support around academics. Where are kids and how are we going to support them academically? The major component that we often missed was the SEL, the social emotional piece, with kids. And so we're now looking at building a multi-tiered system of support that provides support for social emotional learning and behaviors along with academics. Because if you're a student who's in crisis, or there's major trauma happening to you, or things are happening at home, you're not going to be able to learn the academic piece. We need to target the interventions around the behavior or the emotional piece in order to get you ready to learn the academics. So the way we're accomplishing that is, last year we created our Behavior Expectations Committee to lay the groundwork for MTSS. The first step is to create building-wide expectations that are very clear for all students, staff, parents, and the community. We built that around be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. Wherever you go at Smith Road, whether you're in the main office, a classroom, the cafeteria, you're going to see those 3 guiding principles. And that's the common language we use throughout the building. When we're working with students on something, we tie it back to one of those 3. We teach specific lessons in all large group areas. Teachers teach it in their classroom. Classroom rules are built off of this. All students and community members know the expectations at Smith Road. We're all using the same language. This year, we have that groundwork now, so we've transitioned to a student support team, and that's a team of a cross-section of our building. We have a representative from every grade level. We have our AIS teachers on there. We have our school counselors, our school psychologist, and myself. And the purpose of that is to build a system, a tiered system, to identify and respond to the emotional and academic needs of students. We're piloting right now a social emotional universal screener to give us data on how our kids are behaviorally and emotionally. It'll flag students that are in a crisis level. It'll show us growth over time. It'll show us progress monitoring around social emotional learning. That group is building that system right now. We're continuing to research and learn about MTSS, and one of our building areas that we're focusing on is really pushing all staff to make one-on-one connections with kids. We need to understand children. We need to know them inside and out in order to help meet all of their needs, whether it be academic, behavior, or emotional.
This is our goal 4. It's student learning targets and goal setting. So doing our research, and we found that clearly posting standard targets to students really helps them achieve higher levels of learning. So over the past several years, our building has worked on communicating these learning targets to students. But this year, we would like to focus on making sure that what they will be learning, not only in the beginning of a lesson, but we would like to make sure we introduce, embed the learning targets, and also reflect at the end of every lesson that we teach. Might look like teachers can post I can statements in the classroom, help students self-reflect on their own level of learning, have a clear understanding of what they will be learning, have a clear understanding of what mastery looks like. Students will self-reflect and articulate their own level of understanding. Of some of our teachers' classrooms there. And going right along with the learning targets is goal setting. So once we introduce our learning targets and our process, teachers will then collect data and analyze the students' strengths and weaknesses. From there, we would do one-on-one conferencing with students and assist them in creating a personal academic goal, and then provide instruction and monitor student progress toward achieving their goal. Key is that students are part of the whole process. They are able to reflect in conference with a teacher in order to develop their academic goal and self-monitor progress toward achieving that goal. I kind of found that when students are part of that process, that they really, they're more invested in achieving that goal, and they understand what it is be able to do.
So kind of wrapping everything up, every year we come back to what we've labeled as our brand, but it's really just our core values and our core beliefs that we've tied it into just our brand that's out there. In order for us to reach our success, we truly believe that every student at Smith Road can learn, and that success is our only option and their only option.
Very much. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I have two.
Okay.
No, this one is just goes along with what I was asking with the. I first saw it on this. I had trouble reading the Allen Road thing because the way it was scanned in, I had to turn my head. So I finally gave up and read this one twice. You talked about when you identified the priority standards or essential standards, you called them, when you had that map of 2016, 17, 17, 18. You said you did it as a building, and I guess what I was curious about, and that's why I was trying to ask that of Dave, then it was done district-wide, or it's currently being done district-wide, or it was last year?
So, yeah.
Do you find there were you identified essential standards as a building first. Did they coincide with ones that were identified at the
So that's a great question.
Sort of, kind of. And you can say it's a lousy question.
No, it's a good question, and I think it's a good question because it gets to the one of the issues that we're going to come up against. The research that we've been reading really talks about the importance of having the teachers do the work to really understand and unpack the standards and identify what is essential for a school. It may look a little bit different from some of the other schools. All of the buildings have been working on this. And I believe that the district will be now starting to take that and bring that together. I know that Lindsay Maloney is working on some of that this year with that district committee. So they'll be looking at, okay, what are the essentials for Smith Road? What did Allen Road come up with? What did Cicero come up with? Our hypothesis is, based on the work that we've been doing, we're going to see a lot of very similar things. There might be a few anomalies, and then things will work out over the next year so that probably over time you'll see that really morph into the report card and everything else.
I assume your PLCs are similar, like 8?
Yeah, ours are all 8:30 to 9:30. Yeah.
And somebody did say something that really intrigued me because I want to know what it looks like. And that is, you said students conference. So, because that I have a program where we try something similar to that. So how does that happen, or is it something you're just trying? It takes time. You reflect, and then you have to conference, and we're talking about doing that with every student in a perfect world. Thoughts on that, or working, or would work, or could work? Wait, yeah.
And one of the things we've noticed over the years is the teachers that are doing a lot of one-on-one conferencing, we're seeing a direct result in their data showing the most growth. So that's why we've been learning a lot about it throughout the last couple of years. And teachers often present at staff meetings about ways that they're doing that, because there's no one way. And like you said, time is critical. But when we see students have them posted right on their desks and they're referenced all the time, students know exactly what it is, the goal that they're working toward. You set the bar high, and if they know where it is, they will attain it, and you just got to...
I compliment you. I mean, it's one little sentence on there, but when I looked at it, it just jumps out at me because I know it's
why we're focusing on it as a whole.
It's a very different way for a lot of people, I'm sure. Thank you.
I just have some comments. First of all, I like how you do a deep dive into the data and what's required to teach, and pull out, the heavy hitters of what's going to help the students to be successful. I love how you share your best practices, you know, that find out what works, and you know, we want every student to have the same opportunities and be successful. The fact that you share your best practices, awesome. I'm sure you've all heard this, but teamwork makes the dream work, so I love that. Then I had a question. Awesome how you do community donations, and that's important for kids to learn, to give back. But what if you have a family or student that can't contribute? What do you offer to those students who really also want to participate in that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of options for that. Knowing that we're a needier building, in fact, we just had an assembly today, our first assembly kicking off our caring season for this school year. And in the music teacher who does it talks about there's so many different ways you can help. You can volunteer. You find a penny or a dime, you can bring that in and drop it off. No donation is too large or too small is kind of the theme. We also have teachers really closely connected by knowing their kids. We'll be able to help supply some of them with some of those things to donate for the families that aren't able to do so. But again, I think it's all about knowing students. It's all about supporting them throughout everything. But it comes down to knowing your students and knowing what they need.
Anybody else? Oh, Terry.
I noticed in the Be Safe, on the bus, in the cafe, and hallway, and other more free time spaces is probably the most difficult time for who have experienced a trauma. And how do you recognize those times, help educate those children in those moments where things may be going well or going poorly?
So, great question. A couple of things come to mind. We teach explicit lessons to all the students. In fact, I teach most of them. We bring all the kids to the cafeteria at the beginning of the school year, and I teach them about what is expected in the cafeteria. We model that. We have them come up and model it, and that's for all students. They go on the school buses. The teachers teach a lesson about what's the expectations of the school bus. What does it look like? Why do we need to be safe? So we teach those explicit lessons there so everyone gets the same message at the same time. As far as recognizing students, we have a star card system where whenever we see a student doing the right thing, we try to write up it's a quick little, you check what they did, and on the morning announcements, we read it off and celebrate that, and then the students get to take those cards home as a celebration. But getting back to, so if a student is struggling in one of those areas, that's where we always try to bring it back to, first of all, we talk about what are the expectations and make sure they understand that, and we do it in a positive way. It's a learning opportunity. If a student's struggling somewhere, it's about getting down to why are they struggling, what's going on, what's the actual problem, and then helping them learn and how to deal with that the appropriate way. So it's teaching, just like everything else. Just like the academics, we have to teach a lot of that to our students too.
Anything else? Greg, thank you very much.
I just want to add thank you. Great presentation, and I think that as the rest of the BPT presentations unfold over the next couple of months, you will see some of this, and you will also realize that Smith Road is kind of the pioneer, and further ahead, different buildings are in different places. But I also want to thank Greg for his leadership at a district level in helping to share those best practices and move this. Thank you to your BPT, and thank you to you.
Thank everybody. Thank you. Next item, comments from the audience. John Pallader is here. Would like to address this. He sent us an email through Connie about an issue the other day. We've talked ahead of time about what he can and cannot do in open session. But he said he wants to talk about the process of how he can communicate, or any citizen can communicate with the Board of Ed. You got 3 minutes, sir. Connie, are you ready? Okay, thank you. Deshaun, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm actually tweaking my topic a little bit. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that works with it. Nobody gets into the educational system, money, and it seems to have a very thankless job. Thank you for everything. I know that is your prime concern. As a parent, just keeping up with everything that goes on is crazy. But a few concerns came up where I think that you guys could do a little better. The first topic is social media. I don't know what our district's policy is. It seems that the recommended policy by one of the either this policy is not being clearly communicated or it's not being enforced. I think that it may be helpful to kind of have a refresher and maybe even communicate. My second topic is, or the second area where I think we can do better, of having high expectations of everybody, both of students, but then again also of the faculty. One of the things that kind of came across my radar was a teacher that had.
Up.
I'm not.
Talk about anyone in particular.
No, I'm not.
But not even mention the name.
No, I'm not. Not a
don't,
school,
don't
not
say
a subject.
anything that, right, don't say anything that could identify anybody.
No. Just a teacher.
Okay.
And I was flabbergasted that that a teacher with that many arrests can still be. Obviously, I don't know enough about the situation. Will be the first to admit it. When my daughter told me that was the case, I laughed at her, and then I Googled it and I found out she was right. At the minimum, I feel that this teacher is showing some very poor judgment, and I don't know that this is moral leadership that we should. And the last topic, I think, back on your faculty. I have received, while talking about this topic, a handful of phone calls from the faculty that wanted to be anonymous because they were worried of reprisals. And
wrap it up quickly, Dushan.
My concern is that if your faculty doesn't feel safe communicating what they are, how do we know about it? I work for a large corporation. Once a year we get a big survey that is asking us how we're doing on community. I don't know if something like that would help, or some sort of a way for the faculty to get a hold of something, say something. I don't know. To me it seems pretty obvious, but faculty doesn't feel safe speaking out. How does that result in the best environment?
Thank you, Dushan.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Hey, board committee reports, comments. Had a couple committees, since the last. No, you didn't have policy. You did.
Yeah, the legislative committee met last week. We're working on identifying new student reps for the committee. I also talked about where we're going in the future, what kind of things we're going to address. And in that vein, our business manager, Don, you attended the. Got canceled because it snowed Friday, that's right. But we were going to look at what Dr. Timms had for data for us to go forward. Also, we're looking at a plan to invite the two new legislators specifically to our building. We were looking at one of our buildings. We were looking at CNS to have them, what we have there, what specifically we've done with grant money. So we can kind of have an icebreaker with them, introduce them to where we're going and what we may need from them. The next meeting of the committee is January 22nd. It will be, again, at 5 p.m., where we should have a clearer idea where we want to go and start setting dates. And I believe there's a summary that I still have to go through it that Connie put together for us. It will go out to members of the committee because of the gap in time between meetings. Thank you.
Mark?
This past Saturday.
Make sure that mic is where you can get it.
Yes, this past Saturday I had the pleasure of attending the CNS performance of Noises Off. And let me just say the show was fantastic. The casting crew.
Thank you. Didn't see much on Friday. Didn't see much on Friday, did you? Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Anybody else over here? Anybody else? Matt?
So I know some of our athletes in the community are a little past weekend, but I really want to congratulate the teams for a great season in getting as far as they did. Both boys volleyball and varsity football brought us the sectional title, and we're really proud of that. I also want to remind people, and probably momentarily, Lori's going to be sending out a video newsletter to the community that we did today. I won't tell you how many takes it took to do the second video, but we want to wish the marching band well. They are leaving at 3:40 a.m. tomorrow morning. We thought we were going to have media coverage, but I think the TV is going to send somebody a short staff because of the holiday, and we're not going to have media coverage there at the hour. But they will be in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and I think that they're supposed to be on between 42 and 10:52 as well. So we wish them well, and we're really, really proud and honored that they will be playing on Broadway.
Good luck to them. Routine action items, 5A, consideration of approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Ed of November 5. B, consideration of classification and school placement of disabled students certified by the District Committee on Special Education. And C, consideration of classification and placement of students in home instruction programs as recommended by the Home Instruction Review Committee. I will entertain a motion to approve 5A, B, C as a group. Mr. Harrington, second Mr. Farfalia, all in favor. Okay. 6, discussion item. Way down on 7H, if we accept the resignation letter of the superintendent, then we have to go through and find somebody new. I asked Bill Silke to come tonight. I've known Bill for a long time. He does a lot of superintendent searches. You may remember that he helped us out with our swimming pool committee this year. But Bill put together at my request a timeline, given where we are now as to what it would take to go through this process. We will have discussions subsequent to this about who we're going to use to actually conduct the search. But I asked Bill to come tonight, at least to put us in a mindset of what's this process entail, how long does it take. July 1 is going to be here very quickly, and I think we need to have some knowledge of where we stand and where we ought to go. So, Dr. Silke, come forward, please.
with the
Anything about the timeline for Bill? I mean, the reason I asked him to come was, I think, just to make us see how tight this is. I've been through it a few times from the administrative side, and I know how complex, convoluted, and how these dates can all of a sudden just go kaflooey on you. So I wanted him to come just so we could see as a group how tight this timeline really is. What we're going to do, Bill, we're going to go into executive session at some point here. If we have questions in there for you, we'll ask you to stay. If not, we'll let you leave, and then we as a board will discuss which method we're going to use, whether we'll retain a private consultant, other options that we have, and then hopefully tonight at least come out with some guidance as to which path we're going to take, and then let's get the show on the road. But we have a lot to discuss. So I'll ask you to hang on. I'll let you know very quickly once we get to executive session whether we actually need to have you come in or not. So, okay, thank you, Bill. Thank you. Okay, now, Mike, how do I get back to the agenda? There it is. Okay, we have discussion action items. There are 3 of these that were in the Friday letter as well. The recommendation to create 2/10 FTE speech therapist position, recommendation to create a 1.0 FTE teaching assistant at Rocks Elementary, and C, recommendation to create a 1.0 FTE special ed at Lakeshore Elementary. Ed, any comments, or Jason, anything on these that?
No, just the Lakeshore Road, the additional special education. We did go from 3 ED classrooms last year to 2 this year because of student enrollment, and this is just coming back up to 3 because if we don't, we'll be out of compliance. We have an additional number of students that are needing those services, so we need to expand back up to 3 rooms.
Thank you. 7D, Freeman Holdings of Syracuse, the tax settlement agreement. Don, anything that, in addition to what's here?
I think it's pretty clear the settlement that has been offered due to the misunderstanding and whether that property was taxable is probably the most fair and equitable resolution for it. So,
Mike just noted for me that is a roll call. So why don't we do 7A, B, C as a group? Motion to approve A, B, C. I'll start Mr. Maurizio, and then I'll go over here to Ms. McDonald. Balance it out. Okay, A, B, C, all in favor? Okay. For 7D, motion to approve 7D. Mr. Fafaria and Mr. Thorne. Roll call. Connie. Aye. 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 E is a resolution authorizing a 3-year service contract with OCM BOCES for lit fiber for high-speed communication. When we saw this last week, I said to Don, we just did that, but he did some more research on it. So just clarify for us.
We have fiber that connects all of our schools and fiber that connects us with the BOCES, and we had 2 different leases. This is the smaller lease that we didn't include, I think, in the vote in May. And so we're asking the board to add this smaller lease to our contract.
Next item is marketable surplus for chairs and desks. Back to where I was. Acknowledgement of gifts. Box Elementary School received 50 pounds of white art clay valued at $200.09 via Donors Choose. And, oh boy, Gordana Mitrievsky. Forgive me for mispronouncing that, probably. Donated to the North Syracuse Central School District an Easy Share Push tricycle, valued at $100 to be used at Main Street Early Education Program. So let's do D, E, F, and, no, pardon me, E, F, and G as a group. A motion to approve. Ms. Scanlon, Ms. Kruger, all in favor? Okay. I segregated H, in case we have some no votes. This is the retirement of Annette, submitting the retirement on November 5, effective on June 30th, 2019. Is there a motion to accept the retirement of Annette Speaks? Mr. Harrington. Oh, he came up quick. That didn't take long. Is there a second? Mr. Maurizio. I could call for a roll call, but I won't. All in favor? I think there's reluctantly 9-0, Connie. So, you can change your mind, you know.
If we have to.
And I want to acknowledge one retirement, Kathleen Kowalczyk, teacher aide at the junior high school, retires with 21 and a half years of service. And we wish her a long and happy and healthy retirement. 8, personnel report. We have instructional 8A and 8B, support staff personnel. Motion to approve 8A and 8B together. Mr. D'Onofrio, Mr. Fafaglia, all in favor. Motion for executive session. Thumbs up. Motion to move into executive session for the purpose of receiving an update on 2 legal matters relative to potential litigation and to review the employment record of 4 individuals with no action to follow. Motion for executive session. Ms. McDonald, Mr. Harrington, all in favor. 8:25.